Welcome to A View from the Summit, where we explore the unique relationships between animals and humans, whether it's an Olympic partner or couch buddy, a working companion or unique pet, a world champion or someone you think the world of. Join us for a look at animals in our lives. Brought to you by Summit Animal Health. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of View from the Summit. I am your co-host, Steve Searcy, and we have a pretty wonderful show today. You know, dogs a lot of times do very heroic things. They go in burning houses and they do this and that. But those are the big flashy things. There are quieter things that are just as life-affirming happening with dogs and humans, and we're going to investigate some of that today. But before we get into that, I get to introduce our co-host, Robin Benson, who I refer to as the Lady of the Prairie. She's up there, she's on her horse, she's got her laptop on the saddle, she's doing business, she's riding, she's raising a wild child and trying to lasso her husband. Robin, what's going on today up there on the ranch?
Well, it's never dull, as you say. Hello, Steve, and hello, Raven, and everyone watching and listening. It's a pleasure to be here. Truly, every day is a new day around here. The excitement today is my daughter and her chickens. Her new chickens. The chickens flew over the fence into the goat yard, so she decided she wanted to just let them loose and be in with the goats because it's too much trouble. So then she convinced my husband to cut a hole in the chicken house door so that the goats cannot get in, but the chickens can still fit. And then that's all interspersed between, school time and all that. So the beauties of free range, she's totally feral and we love it. But anyway, all
So
that.
wait a minute, how do goats and chickens get along? I mean,
Well, three of the goats were like, yeah, chickens, it's nice and out, it's sunny, we're gonna lay down and take a nap. And the one goat, Bingo, she's my daughter's bestie. They're like into everything together. Bingo thinks they're cute, and she's like herding the chickens around the yard into corners. So then, of course, my daughter Sage has to go rescue the chickens, and then it's like tie up the goat so she doesn't push. It's a zoo all the time. But yes, you're right. We are in northwestern Minnesota. We have cattle, we have goats, we have chickens and a feral child and horses and dogs, and they all keep us running. Um, and that's why this show is amazing, because when I was little, animals saved my life, basically. It's what gave me purpose. It's what's been a big consolation and solace to me growing up. And it's a beautiful thing to explore the unique connections with animals and their humans on this show. And I can't wait to hear from Raven today. It's really it's an amazing subject that everybody watching and listening can relate to, whether you have a water buffalo, a bison, it doesn't matter, a crocodile, a cat, a dog, a horse, a camel, whatever. So yeah, Steve, we're always open to more excitement.
well, I don't know about the crocodile, but today Raven Rajani is with us. She does not have a crocodile, but she's an amazing, absolutely amazing woman. She is by trade a psychologist and helps people that way, but she helps people in another very, very unique way. She started an organization called Loving Paws. And Raven, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. And thank
I
you, Robin.
I became acquainted with Robin a few years ago when Raven, I'm sorry. Well, both of you. Okay. So many women in my life. I hope I'm getting these names right. So Brenda. No. So tell us what Loving Paws does, and then tell us a story. Would you, Raven?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I was in graduate school, I went in there for one thing and sort of came out with a completely different focus after rescuing Shakti, and she was just such an amazing dog. Uh, I really got curious about that human animal bond and what that looked like and what that represented. And it really, it just touched my heart. It resonated with like who I am at a soul level. And so I started looking into that. And I thought, oh, she would be a great therapy dog. And there was nothing in my community that supported, there was no therapy program. There wasn't anything. So we went through training and we went through certification in Kansas City. And then I'm thinking, why am I always driving to Kansas City to do this? I should just do this in my own community. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea how to start a nonprofit, but I did it. So she was the inspiration, for the Loving Paws program. And, I read everything that I could on, animals and human health, and created a best practice program, based on all of the information and studies out there. And so Loving Paws now exists. It's been in movement since 2013. And we have about 30 certified therapy dog teams that go out into the community. And essentially, we just show up for people. We work with our community's most vulnerable populations at some of the toughest times. And it's a lot of fun. It's so cool. And, because while we're doing that, that's awesome. But it also, every single time we do a visit, that supports and strengthens the bond that the handler has with their dog. So it's just a win-win all the way around. And yeah, so that's what, we, oh my gosh, we go all sorts of places. We're at a very strong presence at the University of Kansas. We are there on campus sometimes multiple times a day, depending on where we're asked to be. Like we may have 3 visits at 3 different, schools on campus. And the students love it. It's like, they're stressed, they're anxious, they're homesick, they're dealing with things that we don't know about, things that people don't talk about. And just, having the dogs there to be completely in the moment, showing up, tails wagging, sharing love. It's really magical, actually. Sometimes we think, oh, dogs, they just like to pet the dogs, and it probably doesn't mean that much, but it means a lot. And years back, we'd gone to the university for our Paws for Pups visit. We go to the library and students come and sit down and, make out with the dogs for an hour. It's pretty amazing. It's just all the serotonin and dopamine you can get. And Shakti kind of had a propensity of just sort of work in a room. She would just go from person to person. Whether there was 300 people in a theater type style classroom or just people in a group, she's just like, hello, hello. And for whatever reason, she literally just stopped with this young woman, and the girl plunked down and Shakti like climbed in her lap, which she doesn't normally do, but I'm just going with it because this is what's happening. And that young lady sat with us for the hour, and, I go home and I've got a dopamine hit too, because that was fun. And, Shakti's now sleeping for the next infinite number of hours because she like also had fun, but that's exhausting. And I received an email overnight from this young woman expressing that she had, really just been struggling and felt very afraid of that and fearful, for what that meant. Like she didn't really see a point in getting up, and had contemplated what it would be like not to be here anymore. And she's like, I saw that there were dogs. I went, I hung out with Shakti, and she just kind of reminded me that there's more to life than what I'm going through, and there's things worth waking up for. So it was powerful. I'm gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. And I will tell you, to this day, I'm still in contact with that young woman, and it's been a joy getting to see her, go from what she felt like was one of the lowest points of her life, for something that we just kind of do because we love what we do, we believe in what we do, but I think sometimes we underestimate the impact that an experience may have. I was lucky enough that she shared what was kind of going on with her and how it impacted her. But, my guess is that most people, we don't hear that very often. We don't get that feedback. And so we may never know, but that's not the point. The point is that we do it and it's amazing. You know, it's magical, it's healing, you know. So, and we go into lots of other environments too, long-term care facilities, juvenile detention centers, rehab centers. Um, if there's been a crisis or a trauma, we will go and support the students or faculty or support staff, whatever that looks like. Um, so it's good work. I mean, I don't
So,
know. It's just all love. That's it.
That's amazing. So when you go in, is it one of you and a dog, or is it a whole group of you with a whole group of dogs?
No, that's a good question. So it depends on the visit and the facility. So each place is a little bit different. Obviously, when we go to campus, for example, we go on KU campus, usually we'll want 2 or 3 teams. So it's always the handler and their certified dog. And, just because of the numbers of people, now some visits are private. Somebody may say, hey, my mom is in, a dementia ward and she would really like a visit. And so we collaborate and coordinate just a private visit and maybe somebody that's consistent so they kind of can facilitate relationship. Um, we go into juvenile detention center. The kiddos there constantly kind of influx in and out. So just whoever is there during that hour they win the dog lottery, they get to hang out with the pups. Um, so
with those young people in the juvie center, uh, do you witness compassion? Because most people would assume that since they're there, that they
um,
are compassionless. Could you talk a minute about that, or tell us an experience?
oh, absolutely. Um, well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think, one of the things that's it's pretty amazing is to observe, kids that might act tough, or they put on a facade of feeling tough when really on the inside they're feeling really scared and vulnerable. Many of the kiddos there are, their behaviors, again, here's my social work coming out. Their behaviors are, a consequence or a reaction to, other things that have been hard and harsh in their lives. A world that didn't feel unsafe, things that weren't just. And, maybe they're there not because they've done anything. Maybe they're there because their families weren't taking good care of them. Sometimes it's children in need of care arrive there as well. So it's not always an offender situation. And even if it is, I believe that behavior is a way of communicating something, So again, we go in with the dogs and here we are. Yeah, they're compassionate, they're attentive, they're kind, they love them. And Shakti being a Staffordshire Terrier or Pit Bull, I mean, they always want, oh my God, they love those dogs. Um, and I think that's kind of a springboard for conversation, in terms of, oh, labels. How have we been labeled? Have you been labeled? How did that make you feel? I mean, and what do we talk about? Shakti's labeled as a dog that's going to rip your face off. I mean, I'm sure she would not be happy about that. Um, but she does not think that, but she is here showing that, what other people think, what other people say, or that lack of knowledge is really, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant because she is here shining her light, just like you can go out into the world and shake a label. Who cares, and live your best life, do your best thing. When we show up at the detention center or any place like that, it's like the dogs present a, non-biased, non-judgment, complete acceptance, absolute in the present moment, just attentive, where these kids need it. I mean, dogs are just a bundle of love with tails and cute faces and, and I think the kids recognize that. A lot of times in the past, the kids would have to actually earn the opportunity to get to come and be with the dogs. So, it's not just a given. If they'd been perhaps misbehaving, or maybe they used that as a motivator to finish your studies, finish this, tidy up your whatever it was. So some of the kids could see from afar that this group was receiving this exchange and they didn't get to be part of that. So that might be a motivator for next time, so. But no, I mean, I think I haven't seen anything but a tenderness and a softening when we show up with the dogs. You see huge, the big basketball players like drop down on their knees and drop their book bags, and they just kind of melt into goo, over the dogs. And then it's like, oh my God, there's another one. Oh, I gotta go make out with that one. Oh my God, there's another one. Um, and that's what, it brings joy. And man, oh man, right? The world that we live in, who can't use more joy,
That's
right?
that's absolutely. It's like, I mean, why are we doing this show, Robin? We ought to get dogs and go out. I mean, that's
I
wow.
know,
How
it's really incredible. I
powerful.
mean, the power, it's the ultimate relationship, right? It's the ultimate energy of sharing that. And then coupled with that, when you go to those places, maybe where there's at-risk kids or juvenile centers or challenging school situations, do you incorporate any type of therapy, or is it purely just letting them be with the dogs?
So that's a really good question, Robin. So in the therapy program, we actually do what's called AAA, so it's animal assisted activity. And that is, I mean, it's therapeutic, obviously, but we're not measuring it and we're not working towards some treatment goal. Where I may do that in my private practice with a client or patient that I'm working with, and maybe incorporate something very specific to what we're working on that has to do with the dogs. But when in terms of the animal therapy program, no, we're going out and literally just interacting with people, allowing a flow of energy and exchange and attention, presence. And I mean, it is therapeutic, but we don't call it therapy, if you will. We call it animal assisted activity.
So it's kind of a no strings attached, just show up, feel good, be
Yeah,
yourself, let your guard down kind of
yeah,
deal.
yeah,
That's cool.
absolutely. It is cool.
Tell
It is.
us a story about when you go, say, the juvenile detention centers. I mean, kids, I could talk about kids forever. I used to be a teacher. I mean,
Mhm.
I get it. I homeschool my
Yeah.
daughter, but tell us about, like, if when you go back repeatedly, do you see kids more than once? And tell us a story about something you've noticed. If you have seen a kid more than once, like, what do you notice changing, or what have you noticed the impact with that?
So yeah, I mean, with the juvenile detention kiddos, I mean, again, that can be a little difficult because there's a pretty rapid turnaround. I mean, I think I can speak to, I used to work primarily with children and adolescents in my private practice, and obviously have an opportunity to have a lot of consistency and repetitive. We meet the same time every week. Um, and I've worked with kids that are nonverbal, that would open up and talk to the dog, or not nonverbal, but just not willing to communicate to people very well, and, that's stemming from, again, abuse and trauma and a shutdown. Um, and I have several of therapy dogs, not just Shakti, several certified dogs that I work with, and I might bring a different one dependent on, again, who I'm meeting with or whatnot. I'm One young man was very connected. He was in the foster system, you know, and again, I think that consistency and stability that hour offers, and they know what they're coming for, they know what they're going to get. It's not going to be ripped out from under them, it's not going to change, when everything out in the world that they're in is in influx, and it's unstable and it feels unsafe and scary. So coming in and having them interact with the dog, and a lot of these kids are so detached from their own feelings. They've compartmentalized everything away. They see the dog and they flopping down on the floor, rolling with the dog, kissing the dog, putting band-aids on the dog, or, I mean, all the things, we just, and Shakti or whichever dog I may have is just like, okay, this is cool. I love this, you know. Um, so yeah, I mean, again, it varies, every visit is different. Every facility that we go to is different, just as each individual is, we've all got different needs and unique to ourselves. So, but I think that's a cool thing about dogs too, is that they just sort of get it, and they just sort of mesh and enmesh with whatever's presented to them. And they do it without having to be told, without being instructed. They just do it because they're just pure, and they just show up. I don't
Yes.
know.
Tell us another story that impacted you, that really affected you. You're a good storyteller.
Thank you. Well, I will tell a story. So way back when I have a male boxer, he's actually quite aged as well, like Shakti is. But when he was about 6 months old, I was asked to do a private in-home visit, for a gentleman who had a farm, and had dogs, but was at that point in very poor health, and or not the greatest health, but his daughter wanted to give him a therapy dog visit, as a gift. And so I, of course, took Shakti, and I told him about my boxer puppy, and he's like, bring that one next time. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't really bring this puppy is probably not a good idea, because God, if it scratches his skin, I mean, all the things we have to think about, it's like, I don't want him to jump on him, or but he wanted me to bring Brahma. So I did take Brahma the next time, and he then proceeded to teach him how to fetch. And, I mean, he and I just cultivated a special relationship. I'd come and spend an hour and a half, and he'd tell his stories, and it was lovely. And then he fell, and, had incurred some pretty substantial injuries, and ended up going into a rehab type care home facility, and he was on dialysis, which he was just not happy about being there. And just the course of his days were just riddled with appointment after appointment, physical therapy, things that didn't feel good, and so we kept doing the visits, and we'd go there. And then his adult daughter notified me that her dad had made the decision to discontinue his dialysis, because he was just ready to be done. And of course, I'm like, no, no, you can't do that. And the daughter, like, just, we kept making visits. I mean, there were times that his family would be there, and he would just be sleeping, because it makes you very tired. But he would want us there, and he would literally wake up and completely interact with Beans, Brahma. His nickname was Beans. He would, interact with him. And we went to visit him on his last day. And you know, it's, I mean, I was very sad, because I had grown to love this gentleman, and like a grandpa, he was just a sweet soul. And um, yeah, he interacted with Brahma, and smiled and loved him, and then transitioned. And I'll never forget the look on my dog's face as we got into the car. I have a picture of it, but his eyes were just red, and I don't know, like, I mean, he knew. And but it brought me a lot of peace personally, because it was still a loss. It was still a loss for all of us, for his family. And but just knowing that those, the last many weeks, the last days, the last hour, um in some small way, that my dog was able to bring him peace and joy and a smile, when everything didn't really feel very good, you know. um so that's another story. I'm trying not to cry.
It's okay. I'm already crying. You don't have to try.
So, but yeah, I
We
just
do that.
remember.
We laugh, we cry. You don't have to try. It's like,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that's the beauty of it. Like that's what this show is really about. It's real, right? And it's these
Yes.
connections that you can't, right? Steve, I know. I'm like,
I'm like,
oh man.
you can't.
Thanks a
It's
lot, Raven.
sorry.
I know. I mean, that is what's so beautiful about these connections. And it's, you don't even have to explain it when you share a story like that because it shows people
Yeah.
what people know already, what
Yeah.
people can say, I get it. I have that. It's incredible to hear because we know those stories are out there, but I think it's important that people hear that because it's such an impact you're making.
Thank you.
And I've heard, I mean, when my dad passed, it was my mom who came and helped. As soon as a person, I believe, as soon as a person that's passing finds peace with their last interaction or feels like they have closed all the ends that they need to close, then they peacefully transition. And for your dog, it was like his missing piece, right? He needed that and he was waiting for him. And what a sense of, wow, like that's an honor, right? Like
It
you
was.
have given him a gift that he was taking with him. And what a
Yes.
peaceful blessing that he got, to be able to, have your dog there and help him feel at peace with it. That's amazing. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well,
Beautiful.
I mean, and all of the dogs in our program, they're just incredible. They're just the best of the best. And quite frankly, the people that are their owners and handlers, I say they are the best of the best of humanity. People that want to, for no other reason other than to be putting good into the world, go out and do it. We do the thing, you know.
So you said you have 30 teams, basically, roughly.
Ish. Yes,
And
roughly.
yeah, so how do you find these amazing humans and their dogs and get them trained? Are they people who are already a trained team that come to you?
No,
How does it work? How does the process
no,
work?
we just, we've had a presence and now we've changed the program. So now we require a 6-week canine good citizen training and then the successful completion and passing of that canine good citizen exam. So that's kind of a prerequisite, but we do kind of an orientation to kind of talk about the program and tell people what it is. And then there's training and then there's lots and lots of testing after that. Like it's like looking at, you may have a dog that's really incredibly obedient and can nail all the AKC things, but maybe it's very antisocial or it's a shy, or maybe it just wants to just be your dog. Because our dogs, in the program, they have to be social and they have to be confident and they have to be comfortable with 30 people touching them at one time or running at them squealing or whatever. They just have to be calm. And so we do a lot of assessments for that and training and so the ones that are in the program are, they've put the time in and the work to train the dog and to work with the dog and all of that just, and every visit, like I mentioned earlier, I feel like it just continues to support and solidify that human animal bond. Each time that you go and you have a successful hour, you are just tighter with your dog, you know what I mean? So um we're getting ready to do the float for the St. Patrick's Day parade. We haven't done one since pre-COVID, so we're super excited about it. And Shakti cannot walk this year, but she's got a fancy tutu coming, so she'll be sitting queen status up on the float.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So is it totally volunteer? Like you guys go out in the community
Yeah.
and you're a nonprofit. So you just go out wherever you're needed. How do people find you? They call you. I mean, they know about you in the area now, but do they just call you and say,
Yeah.
hey, we need
Yeah. I
you to
mean,
come?
and we just contract with different facilities. I mean, and when I say that, it just, we do that so that we know that they want us to come. We know that, they know what our expectations, each facility again is different. What are the expectations for the facility? What do we need you to provide? What are we going to do? Um, but yeah, and it's not just in Lawrence either. I mean, that was my original plan, but we also provide services in a lot of the surrounding counties in various capacities. We have a reading program here at the library that was launched at the beginning of, my creation of Loving Paws. We go to KU Med. We just, a lot of different places, have reached out. And I mean, some in Manhattan at K-State. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's too far for us to come, but because what we do at KU it's alive. We have a huge presence on campus. So, you know, um,
Well,
So what is I know you probably expected to go to universities and help students. You probably expected to go to senior living facilities and help those. What's the most unexpected place you found yourself and your therapy dogs?
um, a homeless shelter.
Ah, tell us
Mm,
about that.
some homeless obviously travel with pets, dogs, and that provides a source of support and companionship and responsibility and all of the things. Um, but the actual shelter doesn't allow dogs, so people are actually living in the shelter in Lawrence. They can't have that. And so, you'd go and just hear all the stories and whipping out the phones. This used to be my dog. So understanding that there's a lot of grief, and sadness, but also they love interacting with the dogs. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of an unexpected place, but it's like, well,
But the result is the same.
it's the same.
It's
Yeah.
the same.
They love it. They
I
need
mean,
it. Yeah.
people and dogs, people and animals, it's the
Yeah.
same.
And really, the whole program, like I mentioned, I mean, it really was, it was sparked by Shakti and just her incredible spirit and her temperament. She was a little rescue from Arkansas, and from day one, she just has been different. I have a lot of dogs, and I have always had dogs in my life, but I have never, ever had a relationship like what I have with her. And she was literally the inspiration behind me opening a bakery. She was the chief eating officer and the CEO and the head greeter and the logo girl. And she was a mind changer then. People would come and she's just so chill and she was so cute. People be loving on her like, oh my God, what kind of dog is she? And like, well, she's a Staffordshire Terrier. Oh, I've never heard of that. And I'm like, well, you've probably heard pit bull. That's a slang term. Oh my God, what? I cannot tell you how many people would say, she changed my mind. You educated me. I had no idea, you know. And her being that lovely little shiny ambassador for her breed, that was what kind of got the ball rolling in my mind. It's like, this is helping people. And we know it does. I mean, we know our interactions, even if they're not tactile, even if they're only visual, just the presence of a dog reduces blood pressure, reduces heart rate, makes us flood with all the happy hormones. So, you know, I just had never had a dog that was so dang awesome, you know. And here she is, and she's almost 13. She'll be 13 in May, and she's literally just been inspiring my life and changing my life and everyone else's too, you know. I think she hijacked the trajectory of my experience in every good way.
that's
Truly.
amazing.
Every single person that's close to me in my life that I love dearly, that I consider friend, family in my tribe is by and through her in some fashion. So
Now,
Wow.
Shotke is responsible for starting this organization with a little of your help.
yeah.
Oh, just raised up. There
He's
you
like,
go.
what are you talking about me now?
With a little bit of help for you. And this organization has gone on to help probably thousands and thousands of people, whether
Yeah.
they're students. And right now, Shotke at 13 was injured and needs our help.
Oh,
So talk to me about that.
oh, I don't know how much detail I can go into
Well,
or
you
how
don't need to go into
you want.
detail about, but here's the fact.
Yeah.
Here's just the facts, ma'am. Uh, had to have emergency care for 7 days.
Yeah, actually
That
longer.
well,
So she was rushed to a veterinarian where
let,
she was there for several days, and then was transferred to a specialty facility.
okay, and I took one dog to that specialty facility for 2 hours, and it
Yes.
cost me $800.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what
Yeah.
I'm getting at is that Shotki thought it was the Ritz-Carlton and decided to stay for 7 days. And
Yes,
now,
indeed.
and now this dog that has helped so many people needs our help.
Yeah.
And they're and Raven does too. That's just a side note.
Shakti's good. She's got all the foods, all the
Yeah,
loves.
yeah,
I'm standing here like,
yeah. And so we need to help with there's a GoFundMe to help take
"Hey,
care of these vet bills. And I'm serious. We were there 2 hours and it was $800. And
yes,
it was the only vet open on a Sunday. And
yeah,
you know, I
well,
didn't, who knew? But anyway, so
yes.
help us, Raven. Where can we go? Where can we help Shotcake?
So we do have a GoFundMe page, and I can send you the link. I think it just says Shakti needs our help. If you just even look up GoFundMe and type that in, I'm guessing you will probably
And
find it.
spell your dog's name for us.
It's Shakti. It's Shakti.
Okay.
And yeah, I it was rather it's rather costly, but they're amazing. They're the best of the best, and it's 24-hour. It's these people are so highly trained, and I mean, I attribute them saving her life. Um,
No,
we're not entirely out of the woods yet, but she's recovering, and at least she's home, which is wonderful. But yeah, any support, she has literally selflessly, gifted love and kindness and healing to people, as you said, literally her entire life. So for almost 13 years. And part of me felt a little embarrassed to even do a GoFundMe. I've never in my life done that, or never ever asked for any help ever. But even if they're prayers, we'll take that. Continue to send good love and healing energy her way. We'll never turn that down either. So
well, and
but any support would be so
she
greatly appreciated.
she is known and loved in the community because she was voted what?
She's
What?
been Best of Lawrence for the last couple of years. I'm trying to, oh, I wish I had my little picture, but yeah, and Shakti is the queen. She rocks a tutu now. Tell you what, I've always put clothes on my dog, so she knows, and it's so fun because we do Best of Lawrence, and they have a red carpet, and I literally have the most adorable video of her. She's just like prancing down this with her little butt and her tail. Just, I think she's certain that the whole party is for her. Actually, here, I do have this picture. Hold on.
Okay.
Here's her from Mrs. Shakti in her tutu.
Oh, look
That's
at her.
awesome.
That was after winning Best of Lawrence the first year, and she got it again last year. So we're hoping again for another win this year. But so that, and it's kind of a big deal because this is, people vote, and it's, she's in the category therapy dog service animal. So people cast their votes, and that's how that unfolds. But so it's an honor. It's a huge honor um, for her because and she's never been in a school. So there's dogs that are in schools. So I mean, she's just kind of with me and doing her thing. So the fact that people know her, I mean, she's worked the city.
That's awesome.
It's
Well,
pretty
we'll
great.
definitely include the GoFundMe link in the show notes for people watching.
Thank
and
you so
listening.
much.
And,
Thank you.
you know, everybody who is watching or listening, definitely take a minute to go check that out and donate what you can.
Thank
We
you.
know that dogs, they're irreplaceable. They have a special place in all of our hearts. And it sounds like she's definitely made her mark on more than average number of places. It's pretty incredible. And she's given you a couple looks as you mentioned her in the tutu. She knows what's up.
She's got a fancy green one coming.
You mentioned tutu, and she like looked up like, oh God, I'm gonna have to wear it again.
She's like,
I know.
Mom.
Oh my, she's got quite a tutu collection because
That's
she looks so
fun.
cute in them.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. I love it.
Well, this has been amazing, Raven, and
Thank you so much.
if someone needs to get in touch with Loving Paws
Yeah.
to maybe schedule something or just have a visit with someone they love, how do they do that?
Well, that's a great question. They can email me and I can give you my email. Or it's just lovingpawsanimaltherapy@gmail.com. So that'll come directly to me and we can get something figured out.
Do you guys have a website or anything?
We don't have a website. We are on Facebook. We let the website go during COVID just because everything was shut down. You know, we were literally shut down for over 2 years. And so nothing was happening, you know. But we do have a Facebook page, and I know some people like aren't on that, and it's just under Loving Paws Animal Therapy Program. You'll find us. So
Okay, that's terrific. It's amazing what you do. I encourage everybody to go out to GoFundMe and help Shakti the dog.
Thank you
Robin,
so much.
what do you have to add to this?
Well, I don't know how much more I can add. I think this is fantastic, and the dog has spoken, right? She's gonna show us her next tutu, and I mean, I'm blown away. I'm never surprised, but always touched by these stories and the profound impact that, you know, animals have. But kudos to you, because we give all the credits to the dog, but you had a vision and a heart for this. Something in your heart told you to do this, and you said, I've never done this and I don't know how. And you just did it because you knew there was a purpose and you felt that it was something worth sharing. And so high five to you, because look at the impact you've made. You and the dog, you're a team, but you had to take the step and you had to just step out there and share. And it's turned into an amazing thing for so many people out there. So I just want to thank you for that bravery and courage of stepping out into a place you didn't know, but you knew it needed to be shared. And you had your dog, so you knew you could do it. Right?
She helped bring me down from the calm. It's like, okay, anxiousness. No,
right.
But yeah,
We can do this. We can do this together. It's so true. And so everybody watching and listening, definitely go check out Loving Paws on Facebook. We'll connect you with all the links in the show notes, and we'll be sending love and prayers to Shakti for healing.
Thank you.
And I love her name. I know years and years back, it means energy, right? And so her energy is obviously special and unique. And so thank you for sharing that with us as well.
Absolutely.
And I just thank you, Steve, for another fabulous episode. Everyone who's listening, thank you for joining us.
And thank you again, Raven. And please go to the GoFundMe and support this dog. It's worth every penny. All right. And hug your dog. Go hug your dog.
Yes.
If the dog is laying around, go kick the cat and hug your dog. It's just the best thing you can do. I do it daily. Well, almost, until I get all scratched up. But anyway, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us. And thank you, Raven, for all that you do. Robin, thank you. We will be back next week with another view from the summit. Be here. Who knows what will happen? Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
This program is made possible by Summit Animal Health. If you have a dog, cat, or horse with mobility issues, Summit Animal Health has the all-natural, drug-free solution that comes with a satisfaction guarantee. Summit Animal Health products are used by Olympic gold medal equestrians, leading rodeo stars, professional dog trainers and handlers, and people just like you. Whether working companion or couch potato, Summit Animal Health can keep them moving. Check them out online at summitanimals.com. New to Summit? Use the code VIEW15 and receive 15% off your initial order. We'll see you next week for another View from the Summit.